Do you have a strategic website in place, but you're wondering how to get more traffic to it so it can work for you? Or maybe your word of mouth marketing is drying up and you have no idea how to get more leads and clients into your business without getting stuck in that social media grind? If this sounds familiar, then this video is for you. I'm sitting down with Hailey Rowe to break down her 4 powerful steps to client attraction without the social media overwhelm. Hailey is a marketing and sales strategist, coach, and LinkedIn lead generation service provider who helps health coaches and wellness professionals book more clients, get more time back, and boost visibility without social media overwhelm. She shares her FAST, FAST framework, marketing and business tips in her Health Coach Nation podcast, which is in the top 1.5% on Listen Notes, and also in her free Marketing Hub Facebook group. She's been named one of the top 25 coaches in Chicago by Chicago Entrepreneur Magazine and one of the top 6 business podcasts for health coaches by Primal Health Coach Institute. Since 2010, Hailey has worked in the coaching industry and in business development and marketing for startups. She has so much to share, and there are so many great takeaways from our discussion. So let's dive in. Here's my chat with Hailey. Hi, Hailey. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to our conversation and diving into the client attraction piece, in the marketing without that social media overwhelm, because that's something that my audience, I think, really struggles with, because we build the website and then a lot of times I think build it and they will come. But there's that whole other piece where we got to get the people to the site because, to let it work for them. So I did a little introduction before you came on, but why don't you just tell our audience a little bit more about you, what you do, and how you got started?
Yeah. So I'm a marketing and sales coach and strategist, and I'm also a LinkedIn lead generation service provider. And I got started having an interest in entrepreneurship and personal development at a pretty young age. I was an old soul in high school, and I started selling fitness DVDs in high school. And it was kind of funny, but it started to teach me a little bit about rejection and putting yourself out there and promoting and all the things. And I also went to a social media boot camp back in the day about, how to be visible on social media. And I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship. And then I started working in business development and marketing for startups. And when I was working in the startup world, a lot of the companies I worked for were wellness startups, or one was a coaching certification company. And what I saw behind the scenes was that all of these entrepreneurs who had started these businesses did not have it all figured out. They were not, waiting till things were perfect to launch and do all the things. And I had kept, I wanted to be a business owner, but I kept telling myself, I'm not ready. I need more experience. I got to figure more things out. I need more certainty. And being at these companies, doing their marketing, helping them with their sales, it was fast paced. They did not have it all planned out for the future. They did not have it all figured out. They were moving and doing things and doing it messy. And in 2017, one of the companies that I worked for, they were not able to open on the timeline they thought they were going to be able to open on, and the entire team got let go. And that is when I said, well, you know what? Ready is not something that's just you're going to feel one day. And I finally started my own business working with individual business owners, online service providers, coaches, wellness professionals on how do you book clients? How do you make sales? How do you learn the marketing and sales skills? Because so many of you listening to this love what you do. You love coaching. You love your service, but you didn't realize you signed up for entrepreneurship, and that can be very scary and daunting and overwhelming. And my goal is to help people who struggle with that be able to find a way to do it in a sustainable way for them.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, you hit the nail on the head with that, because I think so many of the people I work with, the health coaches, the practitioners, the entrepreneurs, they're really good at what they do. They are passionate about what they do, but they really struggle once their warm leads run out to bring in those new leads. And a lot of times when you bring up marketing or how we're going to be attracting new leads, a lot of fear comes up, as well as overwhelm with where to start. So I see them doing a lot of busy work and things that aren't moving the needle, forward. So in your opinion, I guess, when if they're starting to do this, they have that fear, they have their overwhelm. What are some mistakes that you're seeing people making that is preventing them from really moving that needle forward and
Yeah,
attracting those leads and clients?
totally. So you brought up a really good point about busy work. A lot of times we think that we need to post all the time. We need to make our graphics super fancy. We need to obsess over our logo. We need to nail down our exact program and how it's all going to work in every module and resource before we launch and, before we test it out. And I think it's really important to come back to the question of how can I connect with people today who may be my ideal clients or partners? How can I engage them in a fun, inviting way or ask really good questions to create either desire to connect or, give value, to open up a conversation, things like that? How can I give value up front today to my
Mm-hmm.
audience and remove concerns or hesitations or limiting beliefs they may have that are stopping them from working with me? And how do I invite more people to the sales process, or how do I nurture enough or give enough value or talk to enough people in a customized way to where it makes sense to then invite them to see if it's a fit to work together, or if, expand my referral network or things like that. So anything that falls under those activities is where you want to spend your time, but you also don't want to overthink or, spend so much time on one Instagram graphic, for example, because you think it's going to make you look cool. Like I call them ego boosting activities versus actually business building activities.
Yeah.
So something you're doing is just to be like, because I want to be cool, or because you're, like just being a perfectionist. We got to stop doing that
Yeah.
to be able to move into the client generating activities.
Yeah. And I think that's so true. I think a lot of people get sucked into just the Instagram. They think that's the way that everything has to be done because that's what they see other people doing. Do you recommend social media, and how do you incorporate that in? Or what would you say would be like the first step for connecting with their
Yeah.
audience?
Great question. So social media can absolutely play a role in that. But the first question to ask yourself is, who am I looking to attract to me? And then the second question is, where have I found those people in the past, or where have my best clients or practice clients come from? And if you don't have a past that you can reflect back on, then we need to ask, okay, well, where do these people hang out the most? And that question doesn't end there. You have to also ask, where could I see myself being consistent on using the platform and working with my strengths
Mm-hmm.
to find them, right? So if you love being on video and you love talking and you love, dancing in reels, maybe Instagram is for you. But if you love networking and just connecting with people and you don't love the posting part, LinkedIn's probably for you, right? So kind of using those questions to guide you on which connection platform to be really consistent in and hone in for right now can be a really good start.
Yeah. And I think that's so true. I tell my audience, you want to go where your strengths are. So for me, I don't mind being on video. I like YouTube. I think that's a great one, but LinkedIn is a great one. I think there's a platform for everyone, depending on your personality and what you like, as long as you have to be consistent with it. And I think you said, you have to know your audience, and you have to know your niche before you can, try to attract the people. Because if you're speaking to everyone, then you're speaking to no one. You have to really hone in on that, is what I'm hearing. Correct?
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people get tripped up on that too. Like they'll think, I have to get that nailed down perfectly. And I think your message is going to evolve. So you need somewhere to start. Like you need a niche that's findable, that has purchasing power, that has a desire to do the thing that you help with in your actual service.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need it to be like, you don't need to spend months obsessing about your avatar and all that. I mean, I think it's a good idea to do some research to see what people want, things like that. But I also see people over perfecting that and then never getting started. So pick a niche that kind of meets some of the criteria. And I have all training on that on my website, actually for free, HaileyRowe.com, if you do want to get clear on your niche and your message mastery.
That's great, yeah.
But move on, start trying it. And then the other thing I want to say is a lot of times people overlook local marketing or word of mouth referral marketing. Like a lot of times when you're going through those reflection questions we just talked about, you might think, well, all my clients have come from word of mouth. So like I have nothing to look back on. But the truth is that is gold information. Wow. Word of mouth. Could you have a referral program for past people you've worked with to see if any of their friends want to do like a free session or something that leverages that, right? Before jumping to something brand new and shiny.
Absolutely. Because if you can get an introduction from someone that they trust and get them in, that's gold, if you can get that. And I always preach to my audience, messy action. Like you were saying, perfect is, not what we're striving for. It's messy action, get it out there, see what works, because if you perfect it before you see if it works, then, what's the point of that? So take that messy action, do the stuff. I totally agree with that. So your framework, I know you have I believe it's like a 4-part framework on like the steps for client attraction, correct? So we kind of talked about the connection one.
Yeah.
And then what's the next step in your framework there?
Yeah. So connect is step 1, engage is step 2. And what that means is we need to think about what's an intentional question or way to engage your audience and build desire for what it is that you do. Right? So for some of you, it'll look as simple as hearing from your audience about what kind of content and goals and hurdles they have, and then creating a freebie or lead magnet or free training or a live or something about that they could attend. And then if they do want more, having the follow-up email sequence or follow-up or something like that, that is inviting to your sales process. So step 2 is engage. Step 3 is that pre-offer, which is giving a value or quick win up front to build trust, to help them realize, wow, this person can help me. I can be helped. I can actually get results. And then the last step is sales, which is the invitation to the sales process.
Gotcha. So yeah, you don't want to go from just connecting straight to asking for the sale. Like there's a whole process in between there. Yeah,
because that's what marketing is. Marketing is helping somebody understand that they can get results, and that you're the one to provide value for them, and that the tools or system or program that you use is going to help them. All those steps need to be addressed before they are sold, before they want to buy something, right? Because if we skip from connecting to just, do you want to buy my offer? And they don't trust you, or they don't trust themselves to follow through, or they don't trust the, method that you use or something like that, then they're not going to be ready for a sale.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I try to incorporate that as part of the strategy when I do web design, is incorporating the email marketing aspect where they can offer the freebie or some type of free gift or something like a cheat sheet, checklist, whatever it is, a training, so that they can build that trust and grow from there. Because when someone visits your website, I think it's like 75% will never come back if you don't capture their information. So if they're not getting that trust from you right away, they can opt in to your freebie. It gives them that quick win, right? So we're getting them one step closer to the sale by like giving them a quick win that's going to help them solve a part of the problem, but then leads to the bigger problem, which what you solve with your program or product or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes sense. So we're connecting first, and the platform is just about where you feel most comfortable, kind of where you're going with that, and then engage. So when we're engaging with people, are we asking like it on social media, or I guess within email marketing, what types of questions are we asking them? I think you did touch on it a little bit, but if you get into a little bit more about that, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, so you want the questions you're asking your audience to be intentional and to be aligned with the types of topics that you can help with. So, and then the last thing I want to say about that though is that you don't want it to be assumptive or offensive, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't want it to be too heavy. So, what I mean is, like, when someone's new to you, they're not going to want to share their biggest weight insecurities if you're a weight loss coach. They're not going to
Yeah.
want to share what their biggest eating hurdles are, right? But what they may be open to sharing is, do they have any health goals they're working towards? Do they what kind of challenges do they have balancing work, motherhood, health,
Mhm.
stress, things like that. So we want the question to be open, like an open question, not too
Okay.
complicated. Like, we don't want it to be a yes or no. Like, do you struggle with blah de blah? Yes or no?
Right.
Because then that gives us nowhere to really go. We want them to be able to share their own situation, experience, something in their own words that allows us to understand, oh, this person wants to do XYZ. And I
Yeah.
have a freebie about XYZ, or I have a post about XYZ, or I can give them, I could ask a question about that to help them know what to do this week or something like that. So, and I think the key too is think about how you would like, be curious, be interested in the other person, and when they do share, treat them like a client. Treat them like someone who you want to help. You want to see how you could connect them to someone who could help, or a resource that could help, and then you can't really go wrong. But when you're coming at it with, what's in it for me, I just want to speed this process along,
Mm-hmm.
I'm attached to, I just need this to go to a call right now, then that's where the questions kind of get bad, or the process doesn't go as well.
Right. Yeah. It's all about relationships, or that relationship marketing, building that, especially online, because people need to know you. It's not like you're selling a product where they know exactly what they're getting. Like, it's more high touch points if you're doing a coaching program or something like that. So that makes so much sense. Um, and so if you're talking them through email or something like that, you could send them the freebie. But if you're or on social media, but where else do you recommend sharing like your pre-offer, your freebie?
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, so
Online.
definitely should be sharing it in your bio, or your link that's on all your social media profiles. You'll want to share a post that is has a call to action about it, and talks about why they'd want it and the benefits of it. And you can pin that to the top of your profile if you want, if that's your main goal, to
Mhm.
grow your email list and then nurture people from there. You can also, if you have a Facebook group, one thing you can do when people request to join the group, you can ask, hey, we have a free gift for every member. It's our bloody blah guide. Put your email below if you'd like it.
Okay.
You could put a picture, like a cover photo, on your profiles that talks about your freebie and how to get it.
Mhm.
You can share it in community. Like, let's say I'm doing a talk right now, and we were talking about niche and message mastery, and I have a free guide about that, and worksheet that takes you through deciding your niche on my website, HaileyRowe.com. And so naturally, it came
Yep.
up in conversation, right? So when you're on
Right.
podcasts, when you're doing a guest training, when you're speaking at a local workshop, you can always mention it, share it, things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, partnerships are a great way to get yourself out there and open yourself up into a whole new audience, kind of like we're doing today, just getting in front of other people's audiences and then sharing out your freebie. It's a way for them to get into your world and move forward. That's basically how it works. And I also tell my audience, if you have a website where we've set up a blog, like when you write your blog posts, you can embed your freebie sign up within there several times, because people need to see it more than once to take action. Like, it takes quite a few times sometimes for them to do that. Or yeah, if you have a YouTube channel, put it in the show notes, or definitely on your website, call to action, depending on what you want them to do on the site. It could be a call to action right up above the fold, or in the header, or in the footer, but making that freebie visible, because I think email marketing is one of the best ways to really connect, build that trust with your audience, and move forward.
I agree. And people on your email list are much more likely to buy They have more loyalty towards you. They're not scrolling right through the feed and not seeing you like social media. So it can definitely be one of those platforms. Now, it's a long-term strategy. Some people might need to be on your list and hear from you 42 times before they finally are like, oh, yeah, okay, I
Yeah.
want this, or I should talk to them. I've had people book discovery calls that are like, I've been on your email list for 3 years. And I never
Right.
even knew it.
Right.
I never even
Yeah.
heard from them before. So there are those viewers that are kind of taking in what you're putting out without necessarily engaging right away.
Absolutely. It depends where people are in their journey. Some people are ready right away. Some people need more warming up. It just really depends. So once they have the freebie, how are we leading them to that last part with the sale? Like through email marketing, we could do the nurture sequence.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about how we get to the sale part.
Yeah. So let's say they sign up for your freebie, you send a follow-up email that asks them a question, they engage with you and share what they're working on. You give them some feedback that might be helpful. You see how it went for them, or are they looking for additional support on this that might be customized, or whatever it is that you do. With a question, like, do they want to connect to talk about that? And that could lead to the sale. Or you have your follow-up sequence. You ask a question, maybe they don't engage, but then you have more new emails that go through, okay, kind of addressing the 3 things that need to happen, helping them see that they can achieve what they want to achieve, helping them see that you're the right person to help them do that, helping them see that you have a system or something that they could see themselves within, and that you have social proof, and things like that. So you'd have those emails, and in those emails, you might invite to the sales process, whether that's a sales page or a call or something along those lines. Now, in social media, it can be slightly similar, meaning you promote your freebie some days, maybe some other days you address common FAQs or objections about your program or things like that, and talk about if they are ready for that kind of support, how they can reach out. Also, I think it's just important to make sure it's known. Like, if I went to your profile on social media, would I know what you sell? Is it obvious, or is it kind of like really hard? I had to dig. I don't know, it's confusing. So I think it is good to have it somewhere very clear what you do. And then I think the other thing could be, if you were like, let's say on LinkedIn or something, you were networking with someone and they have a community you can speak in front of or connect with, doing the same process of sharing your freebie, and then they're on your list, and then you have your sales process, things like that. So getting more traffic to the freebie so that they get the follow-up emails and things like that.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. And what do you think about, it just popped in my head, like on something like Instagram, when you're saying your FAQs or whatever, and the call to action, do you use ManyChat, or do you think that's a good way to be like, type freebie to get my freebie? Have you done that? It's something I've been considering, and I'm wondering if I see a lot of people doing that now.
I do too, and I think it can work great and it's efficient. I personally don't use it just because I can manually do it, and I don't have 6 million comments. That if I had like 6 million comments, I think I'd probably use ManyChat. But if you want to personalize it, I like to personalize it too. So ManyChat doesn't necessarily allow you to do that as much. So that's why I don't use it, but I'm definitely open to it. It seems great, so I have nothing against it.
Okay. And I know you work with health coaches, and do you feel like most of them, or do you recommend most of them, that their main call to action is book a call? Or is it more towards the freebie? I struggle with that because I'm like,
yeah. So you got to think about your customer's journey. Like, where do they typically maybe find you on a podcast, then follow you on Instagram, then sign up for your freebie, then read the emails, then book a call? Like, what's the tip? Like, if you already have evidence for what's been your typical customer journey, then focus on that. However, I think it's good to change up and experiment with your calls to action. So there will be some people on your profile who know what they need and want and are ready to book a call. And there will be some people who need nurturing. And there will be some people who just want to engage with you and engage with the community and comment in the comments. So I think it's important to kind of switch up your calls to action to the point where some of them are for people who are new, some of them are for people who are ready, some of them are just to engage with you or just more growth oriented, like tag a friend in this who needs to hear this motivational message today or whatever. So I think I would switch it up, and then that way too, you're going to get data on, oh, this one did really well, or, you know, this one led someone to book a call or things like that. But the other thing I'll say about call to actions is include why to take the action. So a lot of times you just put like, sign up for my email freebie. It's a free guide about blah. But that's not like, you need to elaborate a little more about like, and the tips in it, you can use tonight to get an additional 2 hours of sleep or something. So like give why they should take the action on the call to action.
Yeah. Speak to that transformation, like what they're going to get from it. That makes complete sense. Yeah. Okay, great. So we have connect, we have engage. What's the third one? Pre-offer, and then sale. Okay. So that's the 4 steps in the client attraction. So thank you. That is so helpful. I think that'll be so helpful to my audience. If they want to learn more from you and, you know, all your resources, where was the best place to find you and reach out and all the things?
Yeah. So I have the Health Coach Nation podcast. We have new episodes every Wednesday and Friday about business tips for wellness professionals, life coaches, mindset coaches, people like that. And then I have HaileyRowe.com. That's my website. On that website, the homepage, if you scroll down, there's that free niche message mastery cheat sheet and class. I also have the Marketing Hub Facebook group. It's a free group where you can network, get business tips, things like that. I'm on Instagram at Hailey_Rowe. And I think that covers it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Hailey, for sharing the tips, takeaways with my audience. Make sure, guys, to check out all the resources. They will be in the show notes below.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's HAILEY _ROWE on Instagram, because I know there's a million different ways to spell Hailey.
Of course. Definitely. Well, thank you again, Hailey, so much. Check out the show notes, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.